Hey Daniel.
Hey Jody, how are you?
Good, good. What's happening?
Great. No, I'm excited for today's session. Something slightly different. And yeah, so today we're going to be talking about, mouthpieces and how to choose the right one, because I know a lot of people, have this difficulty, especially when there's so many different models.
It's very confusing. And hey everybody, thanks for coming. And we're going to try and get to your questions and show you some mouthpieces. This should be able to help you, even when you're trying other brands, heaven forbid. But you should try a lot of mouthpieces. So put your questions up there, and Daniel will try and feed them to me.
Yeah.
And
Cool. Shall
so,
we just say hi? We have
sure.
Matt. We have Justin, KY. Thank you for being here early in the stream. We have crazy reviews.
Hey, crazy reviews.
And I know Jody, you have prepared a small presentation also.
Sure. We can
Yeah,
get
so
right into it.
yeah, I think
Okay.
we let's do that.
All right. So, when you're trying to choose a mouthpiece, there are so many choices, and it's getting more and more every day. Um, so I'm going to try and give you some common sense ways to do this. Um, so these are just common sense ideas, right? Try a lot of mouthpieces, and you can. The best place is at a store. If you don't have a store by you, you can do them online with online trials. Um, you can check out your retailers, your online retailers. We do this for people when they don't have a retailer. We'll be talking later about the 6 questions, and that's how I really communicate with everyone on our website. There's a place where you can answer these 6 questions, and I'll give you an answer, and that's me giving you the answer. I've been doing it for 20 years, so I really have an idea of what people are playing, what works in the recommendations. So one of the most important things I'll say over and over in this show is about reeds. This is a 1-2 thing. It's got to work. So that reed thing has to work with the mouthpiece, and every mouthpiece can be optimized with maybe a slightly different reed. So to get a show together like this, I have to put a bunch of reeds together. Um, this is an example of the perfect reed. It just happened. I'm playing a 9-star custom dark tenor. And I don't normally play that big a mouthpiece, but this one is just singing for me, and this reed is just hitting it. Um, so that's one of those cases when you just want to save that reed for the rest of your life. This happens to be a Diodario reserve, 2.5. The reserve is about a half strength harder than a jazz reed, and it's just hitting it beautifully. But I'm also doing another thing about reeds tonight. I want to show you something. So I am a Diodario artist, and I play the select jazz mostly, but I'm very good friends with the Ligier people, and this is what they sent me today. This was packed full, and I've been trying a bunch of the reeds. These are American cut reeds, the new American cut Ligier, and I'll be playing those on everything else tonight. I think they're quite good, and what I feel for me is that I want to have these American cuts ready for all my horns, and then I still am playing my cane reeds, and the American cut is getting so close. So it's nice to have the two, and when I got all my horns up here like that without having to wet the reeds, that's a great thing. So reed choice is super important. A lot of people, when they come to our factory and I put out 6 mouthpieces, they'll start by playing the first mouthpiece and they'll play it for 45 minutes because it's so good. But the rest are good too. And you want to play, if you have a selection of mouthpieces, play them for a minute. Just find the right reed, play it a little bit, go to the next, try and weed out the bad ones or the ones that aren't as good and zero in on the ones that are good. Somebody's trying a bunch of different models. When they like a certain model, then we want to try tip openings, which we'll talk about. So, of course, play at all volumes and all registers. You want to see what the mouthpiece can do. Very important thing, get in tune first with the mouthpiece, okay? Because if you're playing real flat or real sharp, the mouthpiece doesn't play right. A mouthpiece is not going to sit the same place on your neck as your old mouthpiece. It very might, but it could be very different. Don't worry about where it is, just get it right. Tune up on a good tuning note and then go. And that's the reed thing. This is in general. If you're finding your notes stuffy, kind of airy sounding, and you don't like that, then go to a softer reed. Your low notes are too hard, you need a softer reed. When your high notes are whiny and flat sounding, and maybe the reed closes down on you, you need a harder reed. If it's too buzzy or plasticky, you need a harder reed. In my 6 questions, I see a lot of people playing, let's say, a Yamaha 4C or a Selmer C-Star, and they're playing a 2 Ligature. Now, Ligature is fine reed, but a 2 on a number 4 mouthpiece is that's going to give you a plasticky sound. If you're wondering what's happening, you need to be on a harder reed there, and you'll take some of that plastic sound out of there and get a warmer sound. Reed is super, super important. We'll talk a little bit, let's see, about parts of a mouthpiece, okay? I think there's 3 things you need to know about a mouthpiece. The biggest one as far as sound is the chamber size and shape inside the mouthpiece. If you can see right in here, that area, the smaller that area is, the louder the mouthpiece is going to be. Okay? The bigger and deeper it is, the warmer, darker. Everybody that writes me half the time want a dark mouthpiece with a lot of projection. It doesn't really work that way. The darker you get, the warmer sounding, the less projection. As mouthpiece makers, we do things to mitigate that and give you all the volume we can and the warmest sound, and we can talk about that too. But in general, the darker the mouthpiece, darker means warm tones, bright means more highs in the sound. And I'll show you some mouthpieces from bright to dark. Okay, so chamber shape. You want a bright sound, get a small chamber. You want a dark sound, get a big chamber. Tip opening is super important. That's the distance. Can you see that? Okay, between the reed and the tip of the mouthpiece. That's how much that reed has to travel. Excuse me. You have to make that reed go by your air, number 1. Number 2, by your grip, how tight you go. The bigger the tip opening, the more energy you have to put in. More air, more grip. So we'll be talking about that. If you don't practice much, you can't play a big tip. If you practice a lot, you can play any tip you want. If you practice a medium amount, you can play the medium tips and down. If you play a mouthpiece that's too big tip opening, your muscles aren't developed enough, you'll get tired. You'll be playing and then all of a sudden it's okay? So that's just some general information about a mouthpiece. In my opinion, the most important thing of a mouthpiece is the facing curve. And that's this area right there where the mouthpiece leaves the reed. So the mouthpiece has a table and then it curves away from the reed. And that curve is the magic of mouthpieces. Also, right in here, this area called the baffle. This is what we do by hand. And we make this little, it's like a diving board. The air hits in there and wants to jump off nicely. So we won't go into all the techniques of mouthpieces, but those are some things to know before we dive into this. And another thing, what we have on, let's see, we have on JodyJazz is we have these charts under resources, and this tells you brightest to darkest. So jodyjazz.com, go to resources, and you can see there the Jets, the Super Jet's the brightest, the Jet is the next one, DV Chicago, Giant, HR Star, Custom Dark, HR Star, Custom Dark, and the DV New York. That gives you a good idea of where you want to be. So on our website, there's a ton of resources, especially under resources. There's also free online lessons. So check it out. And a lot of videos that can give you an idea of each mouthpiece. You're going to sound different than I sound on a mouthpiece. So often I'm going to recommend a trial, 3 mouthpieces a lot of times, so we can make sure we get what you want. Let's see. Another resource are these facing charts. And the way you use that is you take a look at the mouthpiece you're playing. So if you are on a Yamaha 4C, then you look up and you see in the purple here, our mouthpieces, you might go to a 5. If you practice 6 hours, let's say 5 to 7 or 8, you can go in the middle here. That's a week. Practice that a week. These tip openings. And if you practice more, you can go up into here in this orange area. That's just a general guideline. So, and this, we're speaking exclusively jazz mouthpieces right now. Okay, when we talk about classical, in general, we stay down in that number 4 area, down there. Okay? All right. So, I know maybe there's some questions now. Daniel, do you want to see if there's just any general questions before we go further?
Yeah, so I've been compiling some questions over Instagram as well, but let's just jump in and see and anyone in the comments live right here. We have Richard Jones. Hi Richard, nice to see you. And we have Luke. Say, loving the new custom duck on auto antenna, especially tenor. So Jody, this is one of the newest models you released earlier, and I know people have been really loving them. And I think one question I've seen come up is, how will you compare the DV New York to the HR Star custom
and
duck?
it's really difficult to compare it. Let me cue them up. And so one thing I think maybe is if you like metal, you might like the the New York better. And if you like hard rubber, you might like, the custom dark better. All right, you got these two. So it's hard to say for me even what's the difference. They blow a little differently, and they sound a little different. And when it comes down to that, but they occupy the same realm, I think. So let me give you these two. Okay, so this is a custom dark, a New York, DV New York 7, and this is a American cut 2.75, and this is a custom dark 6 with an American Cut 3. So what I like is putting a little air in the sound on a mouthpiece like this, and that 3 gives it to me a little more. If I really wanted to Paul Desmond it up, I would go to a 3.25. So it depends how much air you want in the sound. In a way, this feels, it's got a kind of a bigger chamber. It feels like it has a little more resistance than the DV New York, but I did put it up to the 3 reed. So, you know, you can always get the resistance you want out of the reed. If you want it to blow freer, you can play the softer reed, you know, if it gives you the sound you want. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, sorry. Yeah, and it's amazing that you're playing that on a synthetic reed. Yeah, and I think that's going to be another question that probably people ask a lot. You know, which one works better on your mouthpieces?
You know, I've always, when I prototype a mouthpiece, I try a lot of reeds. I try a lot of brands. And because I want to make sure we've got a good representation, I really feel a good mouthpiece will play with a lot of reeds. And it's just up to you, kind of what you're looking for. For me, 85% of a reed that you like is the right strength. The other part is that characteristic of the sound and everything. But if you get the right strength, a lot of reeds will work to me. So the mouthpiece needs to seal, of course, be made right, and that facing curve has to be great. And then you're pretty much in business, and you're just looking for the resistance and the sound you want. Soft reed, wet sound; hard reed, dry sound.
And I think a lot of people would think the custom duck, you know, you can't use it to play contemporary music, but you know, we've had amazing JodyJazz artists like Mike Burton, Jeff Kashiwa, you know, Jeff re-recording his whole album on the custom duck, you know, because he's just loving it, and he's playing pretty loud music, you know, so that's the full spectrum that I think people can get from the custom duck.
That is, it's very surprising, and that was pretty amazing because Jeff had recorded his whole album on the DVs, and went back, and that's 2 different things. But I know he plays the custom dark on his live gigs too now. But sometimes you need a certain thing when you're playing live. You need a certain volume. If you're playing in a blues band in a bar, you might need, and they're not giving the sax player any monitor. They never do. So you might need some kick. But then when you get in the recording studio, you want a more beautiful sound. You have control, so you might want that warmer thing. And Mike Burton plays funky on it.
Wow.
So to give you that on the HR Star, same approach, same volume. Let me show you what that would be.
Wow.
Are you feeling the difference?
Yeah, definitely can feel the difference. And I think that would be plenty enough power, you know, for almost any gig.
For most people.
Yeah.
But really, we have like 2 more gears to go. Brightness with that.
Yeah.
Because you can, you know, you've got the softer version. the HR Star is so versatile, and that's like Kirk Whalum is on that on the tenor, and his sound is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Let's jump in here. We have Bob Blue saying, "Thanks, Jody. Can never get enough of this information."
All
It's
right.
awesome. We have Pablo from Guatemala. Nice to see you guys. So, guys, if you have any questions, this is the right time. Setup related, or you need a recommendation from Jody on which mouthpiece to go for. We have Lee. He says he plays a 7 star on the DV Chicago. Should I drop to a 7 or 6 star because of the larger chamber of the HR custom duck?
Good, very good question. Um, what I would have you do, Lee, is try probably the 7 star, and maybe even an 8 or a 6 star. Because of the larger chamber, you might be able to drop. The DV Chicago plays so free. You're using a 3 star, you might go to a 2H on the custom dark. You have to see, and that's what I'm always recommending. So I think even 6 star, 7 star, but I think you would be on the 7 or the 7 star. And I would ask you, how much practice are you getting a week? So if you want to chime that in, then I'll have more information. Okay.
Yeah. And I think sometimes these rules, in that sense, don't really go accordingly in that sense. Like when I found out that Jeff Kashi was actually playing a 7 star DV, but now he's loving the custom duck in an 8 with the
Oh,
same
okay.
read. Yeah, so actually for me, in the shop, I would not naturally recommend someone to go bigger in tip opening, but sometimes they could even work, just with the embouchure. If sometimes a bigger tip might even work.
And we have to remember that a professional like Jeff Kashua, you know, he's practicing, he's blowing enough, he can play anything. So it's different when you aren't going to have those chops, when you're only getting 4 hours a week, 5 hours a week. So we're always talking to, two different groups really. We want you to have success. And it is not necessary to get a big mouthpiece to get a big sound. Ben Webster, Coleman Hawkins played 4-star 5s. And they got huge sounds. So you can get a big sound. For me, what the most important thing is that you're comfortable. And I really work hard when I'm making different tip openings. A mouthpiece naturally wants to get darker as it goes bigger tip opening, brighter as it gets smaller. But I change every tip opening. For me is a complete different program, and it's got a different amount of baffle and stuff, so that I'm keeping them the same, so you can get the same sound throughout. You still will get a little bit bigger, fuller sound out of a big tip opening, but not that much difference, and you can adjust over time and get the sound you want.
So Lee has gotten back and said he practices 2 hours a day. So currently on the DV Chicago 7-star. So maybe that will allow you to make a even better recommendation for him.
Okay, yeah, he's trying 7-star, and 8. Yeah, because the 8 is really sweet also. So you can handle it. It would be no problem. And as always, have as many reeds as you can. And just put them on like this. Boom, don't even put the ligature on. Try it. Boom, try it. Boom, try it. Find the best one. Not enough people know how much a reed can save your day. And I hate practicing on a bad reed. It ruins your practice. It ruins your mood. Really, guys, work to find the reeds. I know it's expensive, but I'm always advocating, before this COVID, I'm advocating reed parties where people bring all their reeds, all their old reeds, and everybody, you put them in mouthwash or whatever, and then they're all over, and everybody just grabbing reeds to find out, so you can really have a lot of choice.
I think that's gonna have to hold off for a while.
Hey, it doesn't have to hold off. I mean, hey, you go to a restaurant and you eat a fork. You know how they washed it, right? You can wash a
Yeah,
reed.
yeah,
Uh,
true.
we douse everything in here in spray, and it's cool. You can even soap and water gets rid of it. Um,
Yeah. And Jody, maybe you want to share more a bit about your trial policy, if people order through the JodyJazz website, because we know some dealers now they may not have the full stock, or I've heard of shops not allowing any testing at all, around the world. So if
again,
people
yeah,
want to order directly from you, how does that work?
I've heard about that a lot too. A lot of shops won't allow trials, they won't allow returns. You've got to buy it and that's it. And I guess they're being careful for legal reasons, but we can sterilize a mouthpiece, okay? And I test everything, we sterilize it, we spray the hell out of it, let it sit for 10 minutes, and then we rinse it off. And, we're really careful around here. So it's safe. And then when you get it at your house, you can clean it too. But the trial policy works where you can try up to three, sometimes four mouthpieces for 3 weeks. I'm a little loose at 3 to 4 weeks. And what we do, instead of making you buy all 3 or 4, we charge your credit card with the one mouthpiece, the most expensive. And then we hold your credit card number for security. When you return everything, if you don't like anything, you get 100% money back, less your shipping charge. But it's free shipping on the way out. If you keep something, we just settle out and we're good. It's very successful. And, it's easier for me if you just buy one mouthpiece, but I often recommend the trials because we want you to get the best thing. And when you do, and you have the right reed, it's like a dream come true. It's like this little combination over here that I showed you. When the gig is over, I'm still playing against the wall. I just love the sound, that feeling. That's what you're after. And that will give you your progress so much because you'll be loving it. You can't wait to get finished with dinner so you can go practice.
Yeah. That's cool. So thank you so much, Lee, for asking your question here. We will check out any other questions in the comments here live first. We have Nicholas Rossi. He's asking, what is your darkest mouthpiece and what's your brightest? So maybe, Jody, you could give us the lowdown one more time for people who just joined us.
Yeah, there it is. And this is under, what do you call it?
The resources.
Resources, yeah. And so on JodyJazz.com, you go under resources and there's these charts. And there it is, Superjet's the brightest. And it's a toss-up between DV New York, HR Star, Custom Dark. Those are the darkest. It's really close sometimes when I get to which one is the darkest. But that's it. Now, not everybody, let's say you want to sound like Stan Getz. And I say, okay, you should try the DV New York because it's our darkest mouthpiece. You might be a person that darkens a mouthpiece. What that means is you bring the darkest qualities to that mouthpiece. Somebody else brightens a mouthpiece. It's about our chamber because we have a chamber too, just like the mouthpiece, and we have a tongue and a soft palate. So it happens sometimes somebody says, I want to sound like Stan Getz. I give them a DV New York, and they're like, ugh, because it's too dark. It feels dead to them. I give them a DV, which is quite a bit brighter, and they sound like Stan Getz. So you never know. But we have these generalizations. And by knowing, we can get into the 6 questions and stuff in a minute. By me knowing what you've been playing, what style of music you like, and sometimes I'm asking people lately to send a YouTube link to a player that they like, that they want to sound like. And that helps a lot. The more information you can give me, the better. So these are the 6 questions. And the first one is, what mouthpiece do you play now? And I want you to be specific, the brand, the tip opening, everything. By the way, these 6 questions are all over the JodyJazz website on every Mouthpiece page. You'll see them, and you just push the button and answer the questions, and I'll get back to you. What's the make and model of your saxophone or clarinet? This gives me some information of where you are. If you're playing a student horn, I might not, even if it's appropriate, I might not recommend the DV, for example, because it's $550, and I figured if you have a $500 horn, you might not be ready. But if you have a good horn and the DV is appropriate, you should not be hesitating, because the mouthpiece makes so much difference. It's the most important part of the equipment. It really is. So what type of playing do you do? This is really informative for me. And then how many hours a week? Again, that's so important about what tip opening I'm going to recommend. If you play 3 or 4 hours a week and you tell me you're playing an 8-star tenor, I'm going to bring you down probably, because I just think you're better off at a lower tip opening. This is the most important question, number 5. What are you looking for in a mouthpiece that your mouthpiece doesn't do? So when you guys answer this, try and be as descriptive as possible. I get some emails that are so short that I really can't get a grasp on what you're looking for. So the best you can. Sometimes people just say, I just want to change. I want to see what's out there. And that's cool. I can deal with that. This number 6, super important. What's the brand and strength of reed? If you're playing like a classical mouthpiece and you're playing that real soft, excuse me, that real soft reed, it gives me some information. Excuse me. If you're playing a classical mouthpiece like a Selmer C-Star and you're playing a 3.5 blue box Van Doren, now you want to go to a jazz mouthpiece, I'm going to tell you, you have to change reed. Jazz players play softer reeds. The mouthpiece is bigger tip opening. You also want a wetter sound. You want a different sound. So you're going to bring that reed down. Guys, you should know that blue box Van Doren and also the Reserve Diodario, those are classical reeds. Their strength is like a half strength harder than a jazz reed. In other words, a blue box Van Doren 3 is, let's see, like almost like a 3.5 green box. So if you have a green box 3, it's like a 2.5 blue box, if you follow. Okay? So those are the 6 questions, and that helps me, recommend stuff to you.
And I've also dropped them into the comments here, so you can click on the link and answer the question straight away. And it's still amazing that Jody, you answer each and every email personally. So I know you really enjoy helping people to find the best mouthpiece. So yeah, if you guys fill up that form, it will be Jody replying you personally.
And I have a lot of pre-prepared answers, that are very informative, but invariably I'm responding to the comments below. And the final thing is any more comments, and so I'm customizing. But it's been 20 years, and also we've gone to so many shows pre-COVID. We would hit I'd hit like 25 or 30 live appearances throughout the year where I'm with a lot of people trying mouthpieces. So I have a lot of experience, recommending mouthpieces.
That's awesome.
Something that's interesting, a few weeks ago we did one of these sessions just like this with Nigel McGill and the McGill Sax School. And he has a lot of students that are kind of in their first year of playing. And what's interesting is, a lot of them feel, I'm not good enough to play a professional mouthpiece. But in a way, it's the opposite. Charlie Parker could play any mouthpiece and make it sound good. But when you're just beginning, you don't need any more impediments in your way. If you have a Yamaha 4C, that's a good mouthpiece to start on. But I would say if you're kind of getting serious about this, in 6 months, it's time. If you have a mouthpiece that has no name on it, or they call them a stock mouthpiece, that mouthpiece costs the manufacturer about $3. and it's 20% chance that it's playing good. It's more percent chance that it's not performing right, and you're leaking. You're saying, why can't I get my low notes? It's the mouthpiece. Almost nobody can get the low notes on a mouthpiece that's leaking. So for kids and even adult amateurs, it's more important that you have a decent mouthpiece. We're not saying you have to buy a high-end metal mouthpiece, but like our HR Star is so universal, so versatile, it's under $200. We recommend that a lot. And you get a low enough tip opening if you're just beginning, if you're in your 3 months or 6 months and you're only getting 3 or 4 hours a week. Well, when you look at that facing chart, remember that zone, that's the lower zone. It'll still give you a much bigger sound than your Selmer C-Star, Van Doren AL3, Yamaha 4C, or your stock mouthpiece. It'll be like boom. So it's almost never too soon to buy a better mouthpiece if it makes a difference in your playing, because your progress, it just goes like that. So that was something interesting, Daniel, that about half of the McGill students, because they all wrote me, and it's been a lot of emails in the last 3 weeks. And a lot of them had just begun in their first year. And then they tried mouthpieces, and so many of them got back, and they're just like, wow, I'm in love with this. And it's been a great, great thing. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just amazing, and I just don't know of any other company that would do something like that to support students and customers. So it's really amazing.
It's a two-way street. I mean, it is my business, but I do love it. I really love when somebody says, oh my God, I love it. So I'm lucky to be passionate about this. I can do a job that I love.
That's awesome. Let's jump into another question here. Scott, you're asking Jody if you still like DV as your favorite for soprano.
Good question. So I didn't have time. I was going to get we've just been prototyping the custom dark soprano. It's coming out in January. And
Wow.
and I've been playing it for the last couple months on gigs. And the guys on the band are like, whoa, love that sound. It's, it's dark. So if you ask me right now, for most of my playing, I think I'm on that custom dark. But I love the DV, and it's like, especially if I'm on more contemporary stuff, the HR Star kicks butt. It's so free blowing, and it's got a lot of volume. So we only have 3 soprano mouthpieces now with the custom dark. So there again, I might tell you, Scott, try all 3 and see what's up. But that custom dark is kind of haunting. And I was trying to find, I always do a survey of other brands when I'm making a mouthpiece. And anything I have here, there wasn't anything really as dark. Even, so it's hard to find a dark soprano mouthpiece. So I'm kind of really digging that right now.
Wow, and you guys are the first to hear, myself included. I think a lot of people have been asking, about the
Yeah.
custom duck soprano. So, wow, January is really soon.
Yeah, it takes a long time, and we've been working on 2 things, that and a bass clarinet mouthpiece, Shedville bass clarinet that is bad. I've been playing that on the gigs too, in a big tip opening, and loving it. So there's exciting stuff coming out.
Cool. Yeah, I think definitely. I'm using the HR Star on soprano myself, and I think custom duck will be so much sweeter. Wow,
Yeah.
that's exciting. So, thank you, Scott, for that question. And let's jump in again. Next one. I think Richard is asking about your power rings, which I know is also another very popular question.
Yeah. So, a lot of people, thanks for that question. Was that Richard? Yeah, thank you, Richard. A lot of people have been putting things on the horn, like a special screw here, a real heavy screw, or some things that connect the two parts, or Reed Geek has a thing that goes there, heavier things that are putting mass on the instrument. So the first idea I had about the power ring was to make it heavy. It's thick brass, and on the inside of it, it's concave, so it goes away from the reed, so it doesn't touch the reed on the whole reed. It kind of touches it on 4 points. So that helps the vibration, and then it touches the mouthpiece on 2 points on the top. So with that heaviness, it adds a little body to the sound. That's why we call it the power ring. It's got great vibration, and it's super easy. I love the elegance and the simplicity, and not having to mess around with a reed. So I would say for 75% of the people, they go, wow, and they dig it and they buy it. It's not that expensive compared to other ligatures, so it's pretty cool. We're doing great with it. We got a really great review by a guy named Chuck Curry, he's become our endorser. He freaked out about that thing. He did a shootout with 20 ligatures, I think, and he picked this one as his favorite. This is the Jet, which is a very powerful mouthpiece. So let me play you a little bit. I wonder if I might have another ligature around to compare, but maybe. I think that's tenor. Yeah. Okay, here's this. So one thing I love about that Jet, it's got a really clear sound, a lot of power, but more bottom than most bright mouthpieces. This is going to compare to Lakeys and Beechlers, but it's really working hard with the Jet and the Super Jet on the bottom end. So something that's always so important to me is getting that fullness on the bottom. So much fun to play. I was playing this one on my last weekend. I was just like, oh, I want to play the Jet. Yeah, mostly I play the DV, but I've been playing a lot of the custom dark. It's a great thing that I can take these pieces out on the job and get to experience them, especially when I'm prototyping. So, but it's like, if we were rich, we'd have a bunch of cars, and I just happen to have a bunch of mouthpieces around here, so I get to play them. But mostly it's pretty steady on one.
Even for myself, I gave up trying to just stick to one, and I have every single mouthpiece in your line now. So just depending on my mood, because I used to buy a DV, and then I feel like it's a bit bright, so let me sell it and get a DV New York. And then I realized I want back the brightness, so I was just like, I just have the custom duck to the Super Jet right now, and it's enough. Yeah.
Well, it seems self-serving to say this, but it took me about 5 years of doing JodyJazz, and I think I mentioned this to you before. I was in my loft in New York, and I was about to go to a gig. It was a theater gig, and I knew the actors weren't going to be mic'd, and I'm like, why am I taking this DV down there? And I got a little HR Star 5M for the alto, and it was just like, I was a much better choice at that time. And I thought, wow, I think I now want to have a hard rubber in my case at all times. I want to have at least 2 mouthpieces. Guitar players have a bunch of pedals. It's not like they have the same sound all the time. And carpenters have tools. So, it's not a wrong thing to have a couple mouthpieces.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's self-serving because I sell mouthpieces, but still, I really, now that I see it from a different angle, it's not like we're cheating on our main mouthpiece, and it doesn't mess us up. You just come right back to it. You probably
Yeah.
play a different reed on the other mouthpiece, so
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing to have
Yeah.
kind of at least two mouthpieces that do different things.
Yeah, and I think not many people know this, but actually, even Eric Maranto, people know him for playing his metal mouthpieces, bright pieces, his whole career. But he actually mentioned that he has an old Maya New York that he takes out when he's playing like alto two, in a big band that just needs him to stay behind the lead alto. And I was surprised, because of course he could make his metal mouthpieces sound like anything, but even someone like him has a backup mouthpiece, when he really needs to play a bit quieter, So that was interesting as well.
Exactly, and it's when I came down to Savannah from New York, I was playing the DB New York alto, and I started playing big bands down here, and I was playing lead, and I was just having to work a little too hard. So I got back to the DB, and I stayed on it for years, because it just has that horsepower to push over on the lead. So, and yeah, I think it's almost the right thing. My slogan is "Take two, they're small." But so
Yeah, that's great advice for sure. We have Charles here. Charles is asking, why did everyone seem to play smaller tip openings back in the day?
yes, that's a good question. And what I think it is, I mean, there weren't big tip openings when Adolph Sax made his saxophone and he made the mouthpieces. Those tip openings are like microscopic. If you play one of those old French mouthpieces, and a lot of times they're wooden, they're so small you can't even play them. You need a board, you need a popsicle stick to play it. The smaller the tip opening, the harder the reed, or the reed will just close up. So those mouthpieces started from Adolph Sax's days, and then we got saxophone in the Civil War bands, and people were playing in those military bands. They were still small tip openings, but they started to get a little louder. Jazz players started to play, and they wanted a little more sound. Tip openings got a little bigger. We're still talking about fours and maybe fives. So they had to play harder reeds, or the reed would shut down. That's just physics. I believe mouthpieces started getting bigger in the late 60s and 70s, when saxophone players started playing with rock musicians. So, from King Curtis on, it started getting louder. Boots Randolph, these guys, they started, that's when Bobby Dukoff came in and gave people a loud mouthpiece. And Michael Brecker played it, and Sanborn played it, Bobby Dukoff played it. Boots Randolph, all these guys, they were needing that louder sound. Gardala kind of perfected that feel in that loud, bright thing. When I came along, so people, the reason they got bigger tip openings, sorry, Charles, to get off topic, when they got bigger tip openings, because the baffle got higher and higher, the mouthpieces got brighter and brighter, and you almost had to play a bigger tip opening to make it work. And it was easy because that baffle was so high. Tip openings got bigger and bigger, reeds got softer. So that's the progression of that. The thing about it, as that baffle gets higher and higher, you start to lose body, you lose bottom. And that was the kind of the impetus of me making the DV mouthpiece, which I could show you guys was just trying to make this mouthpiece that had this power and beauty. And I figured out, based on this golden mean proportion, to put this, that's found in nature. All these things in nature have that. And I was reading the Da Vinci Code novel, and I heard about the ancient Greeks knowing about this formula. And so that's what I put in there, that secondary window. That comes from using that formula on a mouthpiece of proportions. So what that secondary window does, it brings back bottom. The mouthpiece has a relatively small, shallow chamber, and that thing brings back that bottom. So again, I'm playing a Ligier American Cut 3 on this DV Alto 7, and this is this sound. I think with the Ligier reeds and the synthetics, that placement of the reed is crucial. It's even a little more critical than with cane reeds. So for me, most of these reeds need to be right matching the tip exactly. And that's where they are. This 3 is on the verge of being too hard for this, but it's pretty nice. So something that's so beautiful about this is how free-blowing it is. It really plays easy. And I know I got off the question of the topic, but that was a great question. Do we have any more?
Yeah. Let's go in and Jeremy says hi. And Skip Spread says, hey, Jody, sounding great.
Thanks, Skip. You know how that is. It's like I wish I had more time getting all the reeds right and trying to play all these mouthpieces and more time to practice. But I know you're sounding great. It's a long time. Thanks for saying hello.
And I know Ed had a previous comment saying he's loving his jet on alto, so that's amazing. And Ed is asking, how long does it take on average to design one of your mouthpieces?
I honestly don't know. I know, in time of months, in general, it's 6 months. It took me a year to design the DV and the tenor, and then the year to do the alto. And right now I've got, my in-house team. I've got my engineer. Him and I are the team. And we have our machines working. We have 3 CNC mills and 2 CNC lathes. They're always running. So I have an alarm on somewhere. Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay, so everything is running. So when we're prototyping, we've got to grab time from the machine. But it's been seeming to take about 6 months lately, which is faster than it was. And sometimes we get lucky and it takes less time. But it's agonizing because I'm always thinking, well, is this dark enough if I'm trying to go dark? Is it bright enough? Is it too dark? Is it this and that? And rarely I'll send something out when I get toward the end. I sent the custom dark altos to Jeff Kashawa and to Mike Burton. That was a hard one for me to decide where to put it, because tenor, that was easier. Tenor players are used to this really dark thing. Alto players want this, they're used to this feedback from the mouthpiece, this pop that the normal mouthpieces give them. So I was a little different on that one. So I don't know, it just takes, it goes until it's done. And it's never really, we have a wish list of a deadline, but if we don't make it, it doesn't matter. It's not like somebody's breathing down my neck. And that's what's cool about our company. It's a small company. We can move on a dime, change things and do anything we want. So.
Thank you, Ed, so much for that question. And we have another question by Scott. And Scott is saying if you're out of time, I can write to Jody. No worries. We really appreciate you guys for being here live and asking your questions live. So definitely we'll try to get through all of them. And Scott says, Jody, you recommended the DV 6-star on Soprano, but if this was for the HR Duck, what tip would you recommend?
Probably the same, or maybe the 6. Maybe the 6. The DV is going to play a little bit easier. DV blows the freest of the soprano mouthpieces. When you get to your low notes, it's still blowing easy. It plays more like an alto or something, where those low notes come out easy. So again, it depends how much you're practicing a week. Because like on the custom dark, I'm making small enough tips where you can play classical also. Like on the alto, I have a custom dark 4, which is, almost perfect for a classical mouthpiece. I just did a trial a couple days ago. The person is trying a custom dark alto 4 and a Shedville alto RC4. So, because I said, there's a difference and you should check it out, because he might want to play jazz on his classical mouthpiece. That custom dark is really good. So that might be even a thing when you're trying to play kind of both lines. So I'm always into doing trials, so we can do several tips. But probably 5-star, 6-star if you're trying custom dark. And then we'd try that 6-star DV as well. And I'd throw in a HR star 6-star probably. And then, like I say, they're small. You can buy all 3. Now,
I guess, Jody, you have your first customer for your HR Star Custom Duck Soprano already.
Oh no, we have about a waiting list of about 15 people already.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll start making them soon. So if people want to call in and get on the waiting list, that's the way to do it. Otherwise, we release it at the NAMM show and the dealers take it and stuff. But if you want to get in the line, get there.
Yeah. We have someone from Bahatmaka Music School say, how is the combination of a DV7 with a Yamaha 480? Or which one is more appropriate for 480?
Okay, this is a good question. What mouthpiece goes with what horn? So I've got this DV alto here with a Selmer Mark 6 silver one. Oh, sorry. Okay, now I'm going to put it with another Mark 6 that I like that silver one actually for more classical playing. And then this is a Mark 6 that's a little bit more, I like it for my jazz playing. Okay. Now, I doubt you could hear much difference. Is that true, Daniel?
Yeah, not much.
Okay. Now, this is a student horn. It's probably not as good as your Yamaha 480. People would probably pay about $500 for this. So what's the verdict? You hear a little bit?
Still sounds really good to me, but a slight bit brighter.
But if I had just been playing this horn the whole time, it would be fine. Now, as I said before, I feel the mouthpiece is more important than the instrument. It makes more difference, okay? Now, Yamaha makes great horns, so if I forget the lower number. It used to be YAS 23.
Now it's
but
26.
26, and the 480 is kind of an intermediate, right?
Yeah.
So that intermediate is one of the best buys in the business because it's using a lot of the pro stuff. And so it's a great horn. Even if you had the student one, I would say, man, if you can afford it, try the DV and try some other pieces. Try RHR Star or something. But you don't have to have a great, the most expensive horn. The greatest mouthpiece will sound great on the cheapest horn. Often when I go to a store and do a clinic, I'll say, what's the cheapest saxophone you have here? And they'll take it off the wall. I'll start my clinic on that. And then I'll put, people don't know it. I'll put then it on my whatever horn that I have, the top horn. And they're like, oh, and that gets the point across. The mouthpiece makes more difference. So the DV is a great mouthpiece for your horn, the Yamaha 480. You don't have to wait till you get the great horn. It's going to make more difference right now if you spend that money and get the great mouthpiece. Now, how do you get the great mouthpiece? Like I said, try as many mouthpieces as you can with a lot of different reeds. It's difficult. It's not easy for everybody, but if you try more mouthpieces, you have a more chance of getting the mouthpiece of your dreams. And that is so cool when it happens.
Yeah. And I think, going back to the whole point of this live stream was to be able to also ask your questions. And even after this live stream, you can use the link that I'm just dropping into the comments now. So to find out, which is the right tip opening or which mouthpiece for you, you can fill up those questions and Jody can help you and email you those answers. Let's jump back in. So thank you so much for that question. And let's see, we probably have a few more questions here. Ed is saying, please put him on the list for the Soprano custom duck as well.
Okay, Ed, please email us at jody@jodyjazz.com, and we will do that.
Awesome. So Michael is saying he's ventured away from classical mouthpieces and picked up a 6-star and 6M HR star for his soprano and alto, and he's loving it.
Michael, I have a question for you. What reeds were you using with your classical mouthpieces, and what reeds are you using now with the jazz mouthpieces?
Cool.
I don't know how much a delay we'll have.
Yeah, we'll wait for his reply.
But in general, of course, again, to repeat it, he was probably using a Van Doren Blue Box 3 or something, maybe 3.5, and we went to those mouthpieces in the 6 range, probably a jazz 2.5. And the classical player has to loosen up their embouchure. Jazz players play looser in general than classical players. Get that sound and nice cushy lip. I did a video called How to Get That Jazzy Sound, and I talk about that cushy lip.
Yeah. And we have Joey DiFrancesco here.
What?
As well.
Joey,
And he's
you're
sounding
the man.
amazing on your 10-star mouthpieces. I think he's playing a custom duck.
Well, I think he's favoring the Giant right now, the Giant 10-star. And
Wow.
Joey, man, so good to hear from you. He's great to talk to. Joey, is like a phenom musician on all these instruments, and now he's playing the hell out of saxophone. And I love talking to him. He loves music, loves to talk gear. Thank you so much for saying hello, Joey, and we'll talk soon.
Michael saying you're playing Van Doren 3s, now Boston Sex Shop 3s.
Van Doren doesn't come in a 3 soft, so maybe Van Doren Blue Box 3, and Boston Sax Shop is that, what strength are those like?
I think the closest, I think it will be like a jazz cut type of size 3. So definitely running softer than the
So
Blue
like a
Box Van Doren.
3 soft, Diodario 3 soft or something.
Yeah,
maybe.
3 soft, 3 medium, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you sound like you're doing fine, Michael. It's just if the sound is too dry, like I say, drop down. I like the reeds that come in third strengths, like the Diodario, three soft, three medium, three hard, or these American cuts that are coming in quarter strengths. It's all, like I said, about getting your strength. And so
Cool.
cool.
We have Richard saying he's always looking for that warm, husky sound on his soprano. So far, he's been unsuccessful. So maybe the new custom duck will get him there.
Definitely, definitely. Like I say, I couldn't find it in even an auto link. Soprano was a lot brighter than I thought it would be. Compared to a tenor auto link or something, it seemed a little bright, and I was having a hard time finding that darkness. So yeah, I think that's a good look at the custom dark. Guys, when you get this custom dark, you have to push in pretty far. Same as on alto and tenorese. It's such a big chamber. So again, tune up first, and don't worry about, it's not like where you normally push in. Just push in the right place.
Cool. I think we're down to our last few questions. And we have
Okay.
Nicholas asking, is there a schedule that you use for live streaming? This was actually the first time we're doing something like this. But if you guys like it, do comment down below, sessions where you can really ask Jody your questions and have them answered live. So we haven't planned for a second one yet, but if you guys like it.
Here's how to know is what do you do? Follow us on Instagram,
Facebook.
like us on Facebook, subscribe to our newsletter, that type of stuff, and you'll always be informed. We'll be doing more. I have a desire to do like a baritone show, a special show for each instrument, really dive deep. There's a whole bunch of stuff. It seems though that the live thing is getting played out a little bit. There's so much competition that it's in the beginning of the pandemic it was pretty popping. So, but we'll keep doing it, and they'll be up there on YouTube. You can watch it again, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this will be right on the JodyJazz YouTube channel. So don't forget to subscribe so you get notified of every new video that is posted up there. And yeah, once again, I'm gonna drop in the 6 questions. So anytime at your convenience, you can type in your answers, and then Jody will get back to you with his best recommendation for you.
And it really is me. So
yeah, let's see. Let's scroll. Maybe we have 1 or 2. Okay, we have Asian Guy Guitars. He said he's using a random size 7 China mouthpiece, looking to get a jet, but unsure which size.
okay, the questions I have are how many hours a day does he practice, and what reed does he use on that number 7 China mouthpiece?
Cool. So if you can answer us in the comments, and then Jody can get back. Let's see. Oh, Vinny says he got the DV7 based on your questions, on his questions to you. So that's amazing. He loves it, and he will soon pull the trigger on a Super Jet.
Cool. There's a good difference on him, and Superjet is like a Lamborghini, man. Super power. Use a Rico 3, and how many hours a week do you practice? Because I know you play guitar too, so.
He's Asian, so he probably practices a lot,
Well, if I had to guess without knowing how much you practice, I'm going to say is 7. The DV Alto 7 is the most popular. It's crazy how much it sells because it is an expensive mouthpiece, but it's, I think, the most popular mouthpiece in China, actually. We make them here, and we sell them in China a lot. So, yeah. Over there, Daniel.
It says
2
2 hours
hours.
if he's learning a song.
You mean like 2 hours in a day? And I like to know how much in a week, but I think DV Alto 7 and that reed that you use is probably exactly right. The
I
three
think
soft.
he was considering a jet.
Oh, sorry, Jet. You know me. I've got 3 kids, so I'm considering a DV. But no, the Jet will be great, and I think when I say the Jet, I might say a 6, but you could probably handle the 7. The Jet has a shorter facing curve, which means less reed vibrates. What it does, it helps the altissimo, and when less amount of the reed vibrates, you can use a softer reed, which works, and you can still get your altissimo. So I like a 2H on the Jet, and I like a 3 soft on the DV. So probably a 7, but I might say go down in a little bit in reed strength. So, and the Jet is great. It's great. You'll love it. Yeah.
We have junk mailbox stuff. Say he or she is playing a Jumbo Java A45, but needs a little more brightness.
Wow. Well, and you're playing that Rico plastic cover, which adds brightness already.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is try the Super Jet, and I'm not going to lie to you and say it's going to be brighter, because I don't think it is, but I think it's going to be so much fuller and have a body that your overall sound will have so much quality and kind of bigness. In my mind, that's where I want to be. But, so you try. We may come out with another mouthpiece with a more level brightness, a mouthpiece that I thought I would never make. But there are people that are needing that brightness and that sound that they want. So, and what I like to do in that, my challenge will be to make it brighter than that Jumbo Java, but my quest will be to make it fuller and have that bottom. I don't know if it could be done, but if you get a chance, try a Super Jet and see what you think, because it is a big, loud sound. I mean, if I put it on, I'll peak the mouthpiece, like you showed you before. But check out a DV compared to a Super Jet, okay? Because the DV can be pretty bright. This is the DV, I think. And remember, this is a student horn. Oh, I'm going to keep the student horn. Okay, this is a Super Jet 7. What was I playing on this DV? I'm playing a 3 reed on the DV. That's a 7. I'm playing a 2.5 on this Super Jet. It's like a different thing. It's the way Sanborn plays. He used to play Laval's medium. Now I forget what he's playing, but he plays a softer reed for his sound. So Super Jet with a 2.5. So, man, from here, that's a lot brighter. And if that's not bright enough for you, junk mail, what is your name? Junk mail.
Junk mailbox stuff.
I think it would be bright enough for you. And it still can play different styles. It takes me about a week, and then on the Super Jet, when I came to Singapore and I was playing in Indonesia and Thailand, I was playing nothing but Super Jet. And after the first week, I had it down. I could play as sweetly and softly as I wanted. But yeah, and the thing about the Superjet is it plays so good. So
Yeah.
it's worth a try. It's worth a try.
All right. Let's see. We have Enrico from Canada says
Ah, another
truly
great human being and great player.
he's truly enjoying the very informative videos. Hope you continue with these streams. Yeah. Hopefully, Jody, if your schedule permits, I know you love doing these, so we can definitely plan for more. And yeah, and if you guys missed, if you just joined and the early part of the show, which you can rewatch on YouTube, Jody actually went through some slides and explaining some of the details behind his mouthpieces and how you can go around choosing. So you can definitely rewatch that as well. Let me drop the link one more time. And these are the link to the 6 questions that you can answer. And I think Jody is very active on social media as well. So if you guys drop a comment on to any of his Facebook and Instagram posts, I think he'll try his best to get back to you as well. So let's see.
And Daniel, thank you
Yes.
for hosting and facilitating. Really
No
appreciate you.
problem. No problem. This is fun actually, to be able to see, such diverse, people from all backgrounds, enjoying your mouthpieces. And there's just no one perfect one that could work for everyone. We have been talking about the custom duck to the superjet.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
and one thing I always remember you saying is just try several. You might think that the superjet is the one for you, but you might end up leaving with a HR star. So it's
Yeah.
just so hard to say.
The best thing is when people come here to the factory. I'm in the showroom here now, and we put out a big tray of mouthpieces. And what I do, is I help you with reeds too. Since I'm a Diodario endorser, I'm always pulling out reeds. And the thing about this with these American Cut, they sent me this big box. I can really help people again find that strength. And so we zero in on the mouthpiece, we zero in on the reed, and then we really zero in on the tip opening. And that's the best world. If you can make it here, I know you'll find a mouthpiece for sure.
Wow, that's awesome. And I would definitely want to take you up on that offer the next
Sure.
time we get to travel.
And Savannah's a great place, great food,
Wow, that's
great
awesome.
great visit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can definitely do another one of these down the road, and we'll see. We will compile the questions through Instagram and Facebook. But of course, we always prioritize those who are here live on the stream, and it's just been a great time of connecting with you guys as well. So who knows? Maybe in January, we might have a launch event for the
Ah,
custom duck soprano. Yeah,
good
that's
idea.
really really soon, and
Yeah, good
I'm definitely
idea.
gonna put my name down for that new mouthpiece. So
All
Jody, the
right.
best way for people is to email you to reserve
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Email is always the best way for me because I have so many places where people are trying to talk to me, but email won't get lost, and we get you in the system. And the
Yeah,
6 questions from the website or whatever. The link is that you gave them is from the website.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that always comes right to me. So
That's
that's
great.
the best way.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
had a surprise announcement today. We weren't expecting it, so do look out for the HR Star Custom Duck Soprano. I know I've been waiting for a long time for that, but thank you so much for your comments. Junk mailbox stuff, you say thank you so much for the great
Yeah.
response and on the
Thank
spot
you
sound
guys.
demo. I'm gonna have to try the Super Jet. Brian says thank you. This has been so helpful. Ethan says I can't wait to check out the factory.
All
Um,
right.
Thank you so much. We have Devo Govoni. Says good.
Dino. Monster Dino. How are you?
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, guys. So you can still rewatch this video after it's done, and use some of the case studies from other people's questions, and hopefully that could help answer any of the questions you have regarding your own setup as well. So do look out on all the social media platforms of Jody Jazz when we announce the next of such shows. If you like it, let us know in the comments, and we can definitely arrange to do more.
Cool.
Cool. Nicholas is saying this is like an interactive Netflix show. Wow, that's a big compliment. If we can get you guys here and join us instead of Netflix, that's definitely a
Yeah.
great sign. So
Yeah.
cool. Thank you so
All
much,
right.
everyone. Thank you, Jody, for your time, and we
All right.
really appreciate it.
Appreciate everybody. Thanks a lot. Practice, have fun, get the right reed and the right mouthpiece, and you'll be in heaven. All right?
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye,
Good night,
guys.
guys.
Thank you. All right.